First of all, guys, the journey to forgiveness, it sucks. But how can you expect God to vindicate you if you're still holding on to what they did? So let's talk about some of the signs that you guys will experience when God is wanting you to just let it go. Just release it and just free yourself. All right, let's talk about it. The very first thing is God needs you to let go of things that keep you in a space of bitterness, anger, ego, just feeling all those different things because it can interfere with the relationship that He wants to build with you. So if you just have that constant pull, I feel to get more deeper in your spirituality, if you've been drawn to pray more, maybe study the word more, and you just get this urge of just needing spiritual guidance, that is God calling you in to just like, let's just talk. Let's just talk, just you and I. All right. That's the very first thing. And secondly, you're being called to do it, especially if you are the one that is being called to break a cycle of hurt. And this could be things that have been passed down to you from generation. You know, a lot of the times as chosen ones, we don't realize that some of the pain that we experience in the here and now are not just wounds that we have experienced in our own experiences. It can be passed down from moms, dads, siblings, family, friends, and all of these different things. And it's our job to acknowledge those wounds and try our best to do what we can to release them, not only to release ourselves from our own pain and from our own dissatisfactions, just from our own stuff, but to also free others from our families that struggled with doing that. And some of them were not able to live a fulfilling life or a happy life because they too held on to generational curses, pain from generations before, you know. So it's all about forgiving others as God forgives us for all the things that we do, because nobody is perfect. I know that I've done things that I'm not necessarily proud of. I have not always been the greatest person in the world. I've done things, I've said things, and I know that in order for God to forgive me for my wrongdoing, I have to be an example. So that's another thing. God is calling you to be an example. Show people who I am through what you do. You know what I mean? So that's one of the biggest signs, I feel. All right. And it's also key to healing relationships. I tell my clients all the time that starting new relationships are difficult. But they're not as painful as it is with, you know, when you want to heal a relationship with somebody that you have history with. And this doesn't always have to be anything that's romantic. It could be platonic relationships that you share with family and friends, you know. And forgiveness is key. And I think that the biggest way to kind of, or the start, because you have to start somewhere, especially when you're trying to heal or mend a connection. You have to put yourself in other people's shoes. And you have to also understand that they too have an assignment from the Most High. They too could be someone um that is the one that God is calling to break generational curses in their family. And we learn through trial and error. So maybe in the process of them learning a spiritual lesson, they may have hurt you in the process. I'm not saying that what they did was right or anything like that, but when you're able to look at it from a collective perspective and not take everything so personally, I think it gives you the ability to kind of look at things from another perspective. It's instead of like from just a wounded perspective, okay? And I think that's key to mending relationships. I don't think that when horrible things happen in connections, that necessarily marks the end. It just all depends on what happened, what they did, how deep the wound is, and whether or not you choose to reconcile with them or not, you still have to forgive them. So if you do want to start something new elsewhere, you're not taking something from an old relationship into something that you're trying to build, like a new situation, when you're trying to build a healthier foundation for yourself. You have to be a healthy energy, and part of that is forgiving things from your old timeline, right? So, and lastly, I think it's just all about prayer. There are a lot of different things that I feel like us as a collective, we try to handle it from a physical perspective when it's really a spiritual fight that we're dealing with. And like I said, I believe in change. I believe that people change every day. I'm not who I used to be 10 years ago. All right. And I do believe that if God can put things in me, change my mind, change the way that I feel, change the way that I love, and just do things from a more healthier perspective, and just trying my very, very best to do the right thing, because I feel like we all consist of bad and good. It's all about trying your best to be good, because you have some people that try their best to be evil. Even those people, you have to forgive them. And just because you forgive people does not mean that you have to reconcile. And forgiveness is not always, it's not just about you forgiving them. It's all about you forgiving yourself and other people forgiving you when you want your best, right? So that's what I have, guys. Let me know what you think about this video, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.